Hello and welcome to PAXTON Road TV. I am Sam Spurs for Life, and this is your PAXTON Road TV preview show for the game Crystal Palace versus Tottenham Hotspur. And it has been a long 2 weeks. We've had all kinds going off, close the transfer window, blah, 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 whatever else has happened since we last played. Internationals here, there, and everywhere. But football, as it really is now going to be back. So, we have joined in the house Mike Hotspur Hustler, Sid Spurs, and representing Man City and Crystal Palace. But Crystal Palace today, it's Blue Moon Ian. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Great, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, it has been what seems like a long time since the Premier League has been kicking off. How have you found the international break, Mr. Blue Moon Ian? How was it for you?
It was moderately entertaining, but I never know how much you even learn for the future World Cup playing teams like Andorra. You know, I think once you get into the World Cup, it's a completely different scene. So some of it, I think, is a bit pointless. From a City and a Crystal Palace fan, particularly as a City fan, I just get terrified of games like Poland when they're trying to boot the players up in the air, and you think, oh my God, is £100 million on a player, and is he going to get cropped for the season? Laporte came off injured for Spain, so as a club fan, you get quite terrified that so early in the season you're going to get a really bad knock on one of your key players. So, yeah, mixed views. I enjoyed some of the England performance. I think we've got a good team, but I'm not certain how much of it is good prep for the World Cup of the teams that we're playing.
Yes, fair call.
So following that international break, do you think this is going to have, I'll ask our Spurs compatriots here, I'll ask Mark, do you think this is going to have a negative impact on the momentum? Obviously, Spurs 3 games so far. How do you think it's going to affect us forward?
Yeah, I echo Ian's. I echo Ian's comments insofar as some of these games. I mean, not just England. I mean, for Spurs, it's further, I suppose, further reach sort of thing with other countries, etc. But I mean, you look at the fiasco over in South America with Brazil and Argentina, and obviously we've got a couple of lads that are representing Argentina, and obviously they weren't going to be back in time for this game, but it's question marks whether they'll be back for the Chelsea game, isn't it? I think the following week. Yeah. So, and then you look at Skip, he's come off injured. You look at Son, I think he's got a calf strain, which I know there's people have been saying that there's a calf sprain and there's been a bit more serious. But from what I understand, it seems like it's a calf strain, which should only take a couple of days to sort that itself out. So I expect Son to be, well, I'm hoping he'll be fit for tomorrow. For Saturday. But it's just when you look at the games, say, like Ian said. I mean, we got Harry Kane playing for England, and we're playing against teams like, I don't know, Andorra. I mean, Poland yesterday was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. They were rough. They were physical. They were leaving their feet in, sort of here, there, and everywhere. And you just worry. It's like a bit like Ian says. What are you getting out of these sort of games for the World Cup? Is it good preparation? Is it going to leave players crocked going forward for the season? You just don't know. But I think. When you look at the Spurs squad, I still think we've probably got a little bit too much for Palace on paper. I mean, the tricky thing is we're away and it's a London derby, so it's not going to be easy. It never is against Palace, especially in their own backyard. So, and
I shall point that out in a little while when we get to the last 5 games.
So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Oh. Cool. Sid, do you think that the players coming back, particularly with the fiasco that happened at, the Argentina-Brazil thing, and like we've got, I think it's Sanchez, Romero, and who else is it? Lo Celso, all in Croatia at the present time, training, doing what they need to do. Do you think that the manager is going to have that on his mind, or do you think he's just completely now focused on this game, getting out the best team? Because obviously I'm not sure if Romero may have started, or even Lo Celso, but certainly Sanchez has been playing the last 3 games and has played well. Is that going to have a detrimental effect, do you think?
I think, you know what, personally, I think Nuno's already planning without them, because he knew that Saturday's game we weren't going to have Romero, Lo Celso or Sanchez. I think he's got them in mind for the Chelsea game, and he's probably, because as far as I'm aware, some of the not the physio but the fitness people have flown over to Croatia, and they're actually training the 3 players there on private training.
Oh, right.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So apparently we've flown somebody over. So I think he's concentrating on them 3 just to come back for the Chelsea game. And Saturday's game, he's going to concentrate with what he's got. And I think his plans are playing the players that he's going to be with. Because if he's got them lot, if he has to concentrate on these lot as well, it's too much pressure. So I think he's got a team in place. I think he's already got, Sanchez is going to be the big, for me.
Yeah, imagine saying that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Sanchez
God.
is going to be a big miss because him and Dyer have been playing well. Romero can't come in. So it's either going to be Rodon or he's going to have to play Tanganga at centre half. Lo Celso in and out, so he's not going to be missed that much. And Romero, again, he's not played that often. So I think Nuno's already set aside his plans, and he's got a team lined up that hopefully and should beat Crystal Palace. But as you guys already mentioned, we can be top of the league, we can be flying, but we've got this tendency when we go to clubs like Crystal Palace and places like that where we should win, they just turn up. You know, like the likes of Benteke last season, I remember, or the season before, he never scored for how many games? He scored against us. Yeah. They're on a rocky patch at the moment, and Vieira's probably want to win. And what massive scout for him than Tottenham, being an ex-Arsenal player as well. So I think they'll be fired up.
They will be fired up, and I'm sure Crystal Palacean will vouch for Patrick Vieira being a positive influence in a game like this, because obviously he's had a lot of history against Spurs, and I think he's a decent manager. He has, come into a team where, Roy Hodgson, and I'll let Ian take the reins a bit more on this. Roy Hodgson come, maybe steady the ships, giving everybody that's I guess that base factor. He got the team playing a certain way, getting results, keeping them up in the league. How do you see Patrick's influence now in terms of the playing style, Ian?
Yeah, interesting. Firstly, I think I need to quantify what the heck I'm doing here as Blue Moon Ian with a Crystal Palace shirt on. I was born and brought up in Manchester, blue from being at a pretty tough school in Wythenshawe in Manchester. But the last 15 years I've been in London, living in East London. And I've got a really good mate who's a Palace fan. And he said, you've got to come down here. It's like City in the old days. And that was about 6 years ago. So I've had a season ticket for 5 years. I'll be watching it on Saturday. And it is like the good old days of the Kippax at Main Road in Manchester. Which brings me on to answer the question. The atmosphere, I think, is almost second to none. Possibly Evertonians would disagree with that. In an old ground with huge noise. So even though Spurs' new ground is beautifully acoustically designed, and I think they won an award this week. It's an award-winning stadium now, so you can actually pin that to. That's
another trophy for our cabinet. How many more are we going to get this season?
Trophy for your cabinet. I think the stadium
won
an award this week. But joking aside, it is not an easy place to come. And I know Sid said they're not on a good run, but actually, if you watch it, Palace have gone from being the oldest team in the league to pretty much the youngest. Every player they've signed is really young and full of potential. And you then add Conor Gallagher to the mix there, and the age is below 23 now, whereas it was above 29 before, and that's even if Benteke plays. So I think that's interesting. And obviously, they lost the first game, Liverpool, I think it was. But then a home draw with Brentford. And remember, that team's in massive transition. I cannot think, since I've ever been watching the Premier League, where a club had something like 12 players out of contract and has swapped over 8 first-team players. I mean, that's just unheard of. So the transition period was always going to happen. The second game at home to Brentford, which is a 0-0 draw, actually showed an awful lot of promise. And then for the Spurs fans who might feel confident of 4 wins on the trot, that result against West Ham, that draw was bloody great. Because I watched West Ham the week before, and Antonio was almost unplayable. West Ham were absolutely sensational against Leicester in every.
And they were 3-1 down. Was he not 3-1 down at one point?
It was 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 2-0.
2-2.
Oh right, okay. Sorry, 2-2.
They came back each time, and bearing in mind how well West Ham were playing, and that was away at West Ham. That was a good result, and it would indicate there is an incline to Palace's performance as the season's gone on. Now, interestingly, to answer the question, you can call him Regimental Roy. Roy is probably the manager who drills his players in terms of discipline the most. It's never the prettiest. I used to go and watch him with my mate Rick at Fulham before that, and West Brom before that, and he would regimentally discipline those players so that the results were there, but it was not aesthetically pleasing, let's just say. So for Paris, the chairman, to take this leap of faith and go for from the oldest manager almost in the Premier League to pretty much one of the youngest managers of the Premier League, well, that's a leap of faith. Secondly, to go for a player who then believes in young players rather than older players, well, that's a hell of a leap of faith. And then thirdly, for a completely more attacking, flowing style, well, that's wild. And then to give him a bit of in Palace terms, a bucket of cash. I mean, to most clubs, it's not. Because when you actually look at Palace's spend over the last 5 years, it's actually positive in the saving area, not the spend area. They've spent the least, I think, in the Premier League. So they have now some exciting new players. I feel it's a game too far, too early for a big club like Spurs.
But do you think then that what Cody's saying here, Selhurst Park will be quite difficult for championship teams next season? That's not very nice. That's not very nice, is it?
Cody's just trolling, man.
That's not very nice.
There's no way Palace. They've got too much to go down. They're not going down.
When they did have Roy Hodgesaurus, he was the oldest manager in the world ever. Yeah. He was about, what was he? 105. I don't know how he was, but he was. But no, Roy was very, very good. I think he was very, very good in terms of the stability that he gave the club, and he went out on his own terms. You know, he kept. I keep saying for Palace, it is about staying in the division. You know, they've proved that a London-based club, you can still attract good players. I think players like Eze, who I was really, really impressed with last season, he's obviously going to be a miss for the most of this season. But like you said, the buying policy. What's the chairman's name? Steve Parish. Is it Steve Parish?
Parish.
I like his teeth. He's got nice teeth, by the way. And did
you get a buy one get one free with him?
I'd love to. That's why I do all this. Pearly White's hoping that someone will sponsor me, but they're not having it. I've not got no Colgate. I've had nothing. But anyway, where was I going with that? Where was I going? Yeah, Steve Parish. I think he's a really good chairman. He's young. He's dynamic. He says it like it is. And I just think he's got them into a position now where you can be seen as a Premiership team, and I think that's a good reflection to have for a club like Crystal Palace. Let me just go into this next part of this. So let's have a look at. Let's take this comment here off. Let us have a look at the current league table and form. It makes good reading for some, not so good reading for others. I couldn't even fit them lot on there because I didn't have enough space. But as you can see, top of the league, Crystal Palace, as you've mentioned already, 1 loss, 2 draws, so 2 points. We're going into this with good form. However, the next part of this is the last 5 games. So again, looking at the home form from Spurs, very comfortable. 2-0, 4-0. The last couple of games, the previous 2 games at home before the one in March this year. But Palace has always been a difficult place to go to. That being said, and I'll come to Sid, do you think this is a game that we should be winning?
We should be winning every game.
Like that, Sid. I like that.
Yeah, we should be winning every
3 games you're grounded.
But no, look, if we can beat the likes of City, right, the champions, then we've gone and obviously beaten Wolves. We've got a win against Watford. I don't see why we can't go to Selhurst Park and win. On paper, we should win. But like I said before, I think it was a 1-1 draw. I was there, and it was a tough game. It was Palace defending for the dear lives, right? We just couldn't break them down. And then we took the lead, and I think they came back towards the end and equalised.
Do you not think that was our own doing, Sid?
It's always our own doing. This is the problem, yeah.
That's not Palace being better than us or being...
Oh, how dare you? I'm going to let Blue Moon Ian come in and let's say... I don't know, because I said, I remember the game, the 4-1 at...
it was our own doing.
Our ground. But the Crystal Palace was... Yeah, the one... I remember that game, and Roy really set up well. But that's what he does. He's got a pragmatic approach, and he did what he had to do. You've got to get results in this game, and that's what they did. So how do you see it being any different tomorrow in terms of the approach to the game with Patrick Vieira? Is he going to think, I can go for this, or is he going to think, oh, it's Tottenham here? Do you know what I mean? We've got a London derby. We've got to try and, get a point out of it. Is it a win for City, or is it just damage limitation? I like to use that phrase. We're not like we're going to score 10 against you, but you know what I mean.
I think it will be a very different approach to answer your question. I don't think they've got the regimental discipline or the players to play the way they played before. End of. I think it will be very interesting because, since the last game, they've got Will Hughes ready to play from Watford, who's a good holding midfielder. But more importantly, a man on a mission is obviously Edouard from Celtic, who scored a lot of goals there, well rated. I'm not certain whether those two will start, but Vieira seems to want to go for it. So it's a bizarre one. I don't think it will be a draw. I don't think it will be 1-1. It will be a victory for one of the two teams. I think there will be too much blood and thunder for that. Everyone voted the West Ham Palace game of the weekend of the last game 3 of the Premier League. This could be game of the weekend for game 4. I think both teams will go at it. And
I hope so.
How we'll end up, I don't know. I mean, Cody, I know he's poking fun, but I just don't know. Palace could do pretty well, or they could get relegated. They could beat Spurs, or they could lose. I don't think anyone can predict how Palace will play.
Do you think that, Ian, will be down to Patrick Vieira's naivety as a young manager? And because when you see Scott Parker, when he came into the Premier League, arguably Fulham played probably some of the best football I'd seen at that beginning stage of the season. However, he was trying to play teams off the park. Fulham got found out, took a few hammerings. He changed it and essentially once he did change it around, and Fulham did get quite a few good results towards the end of the season, but it was just too late. But do you think if Crystal Palace struggle, that'll be down to Patrick Vieira's naivety as a young manager?
Probably, yeah. But he seems to be taking a fairly gung-ho approach. He's bought what you could only describe as players who epitomise that. What I would say is they know no fear. They don't know what it's like to lose in the Premier League, and there is a chance here. Just like for the likes of Fulham and Norwich. Remember when Norwich beat Man City on that season? They went down early on. Teams early on in the season that are very new, who have no fear, will take some scalps. And it may well be that they're touch and go for relegation by the end, but this is the very first part of the season. The likes of Conor Gallagher, he's going to have a go. He knows no fear. He doesn't know what it's like to lose heavily in the Premier League. None of those lads do. So I think that's why the pendulum is going to swing riotously one way or the other. It ain't going to sit in the middle.
Go on, sorry.
Go on, sir. I was just going to say, I think it'd be very naive if I was Palace, it'd be very naive of Vieira to come out all guns blazing, gung ho at Spurs, because if Palace leave themselves exposed at the back, we will pick them off. I think if I'm a Spurs fan, that's what we hope. You could argue, well, we hope Palace do come at us because they will expose the gaps at the back, which we will exploit. But
what I will add to that, Mike, is, and probably Ian can vouch for as well, I think the fans being back in stadium, said that since the start of this season, are going to make a massive difference. Selhurst Park, with the crowd up for it, noise. London derby, as I keep saying, it's going to be a tough place. It's going to be tougher because of the fact, as you said, you've got Patrick Vieira, who's got the Arsenal connections, London derby, home game, crowd up for it. So I think it's going to be really tough. I don't see it being many goals in it. I see it being very tight. And again, looking at what we've been doing so far, it wouldn't surprise me. We'll get onto that in a minute. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a low score. I'm not even going to say what my score is, but I think you might already know what my score is. So I'm going first on the score predictions, by the way, so none of you can take it. Because I know what score I'm going for.
Let me guess.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? I say the same score every week. No. Just in terms of team selection, and I'll just come to the last graphic. I'll ask Ian first. Do you see? I haven't actually seen a lot of the Crystal Palace play this season, so I'm not sure if you start 11. But do you see many changes following the international break, or is it going to be a case of the same sort of team, barring any injuries?
Gosh, I'm answering with less certainty than I've almost ever had, because they've got two players who haven't played before in Hughes and Edouard. Will they take a chance and go straight into the team? They have had 2 quiet weeks on their own training. So my gut is yes, there will be changes. I think those two will start. We've got Mark Gué at the back there, who actually captained England's under-21 team quietly. We saw that under the radar. Captained the England under-21, playing well. But again, it's early days forming a defensive partnership with Joachim Anderson there at the back. Yes, I do think there'll be changes. I think those 2 new players will play. I think, even though I would play, I don't know, if it was me, I would stick to the older guard. I'd have Miljovic in there and MacArthur to make it safe and really battle Spurs and do exactly what you said there, Sam, where not allow Spurs to run away with it. I'd play those 2 to make sure Spurs didn't get away with it. And they are well-disciplined players from the old regimental Roy days. However, I've got a feeling that Vieira may not play both of those 2 players and may have a punt on Will Hughes for his first game, in which case you may be proved right and Spurs may have more gaps than Palace would like.
Before I come to you guys, once you've answered that one, you can answer the next one from Cody as well. He's got the question here. Question for the Palace supporter. Which departed veteran of last year's squad do you wish was still around, if anyone? So Mike's question was first. What was his name? Anderson. Did you mention?
Anderson, yeah. Centre back.
Yeah. I have no shadow of a doubt who I didn't want to leave, and that's Townsend, who's gone to Everton. He's a very clever player. I mean, you guys must have some fond memories of him. He's a very clever player, and actually, as his pace went reduced, his brain got better. And actually, I would have loved to have seen him play as a number 10 rather than as a winger, because he's got that ability to hold the ball, see a pass. He's got a very, very quick brain. He'll do well for Everton. He's a Benitez-style player, so he's the one. I wasn't bothered about losing any of the others. They could all go. But I would highlight, and don't tell Nuno, don't keep it quiet. If I was Spurs and if I was going to attack one area of the pitch, I think Mitchell at left-back isn't great. I would go down that flank. And I think that's where the opportunities will come from Spurs right.
When you're integrating a lot of youngsters anyway, a lot of new players, new manager, new system, new philosophy, it's always going to be difficult. And this is going to be a real test. I think the Liverpool game, first game of the season, you're always going to think that's going to be really tough. But this is going to be a real test of, where the team kind of sees themselves. Because I said, I think it's going to be a test for us, no doubt. I'm just looking at the last game that we had. I'll take this comment off here. This is our start 11, and not to promote. I am going to promote actually, because Darius 3K will be doing the predicted lineup show on Friday, I believe it is. So he's going to come through with the team, what he thinks he's going to be playing at the weekend. But just going to this is the team that played against Watford. So we had Luis in goal, Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer, Reguilon, Højbjerg, Skip, Dele, Son, Kane, and Bergman. So the only change from the 2 previous games was Kane coming in for Lucas, which it was either going to be Lucas or Bergwijn. Sid, do you see a lot of change from this? Again, we've got no Sanchez, but everybody else there Son, is he carrying injury? He was taken off precautionary, so he might get rested potentially. But I can't see them resting all three, because all three of them players, Son, Kane, and Bergwijn, all kind of come off a little bit. Well, Bergwijn had ice on his ankle.
Yeah.
Son again didn't make the last game, and Kane again pulled up slightly, but finished the game against Poland. Scored a great goal, by the way. But do you see the major changes to that?
To be honest, Son, I think they said there was no reported injuries. He was fine at the airport on his way back, so that's good.
Double thumbs up for that.
Yeah, thumbs up for that. They reckon Skip is a minor groin, and they were going to assess him today, so hopefully tomorrow he'll get it all clear. I think I see 2 changes, maybe 3. I see Tanganga going in as a centre-back. I see Emerson starting as a right-back.
Don't put Tanganga at centre-back against Benteke. You leave him alive.
So who are you going to put there then? Because you can't put Sanchez. You can't put Romero.
I put if Rodon's fit, I'd be tempted to put him just because what Palace will end up, especially against Benteke. I'd rather have 2 big centre backs against Benteke because he's not going to beat you for pace, but aerially he could be a big issue for Spurs.
Yeah, of course.
But haven't we dealt well? So we have dealt with Cross as well, but that was with Sanchez being in there.
Sanchez.
Sanchez has been the one clearing. Dyer has done very well with blocks and stuff. I'm again, I don't know if Rodon's out of favour with the whole Spurs community in terms of the managers.
Hasn't he had COVID? No, wasn't he ill and then he's just caught COVID the other day or something from what I've heard? So I don't know if he's available or not. So
yeah. I mean, I think you're right, Sid. I think you'll probably play Tanganga at centre back, but me personally, if I had the option, I just wouldn't put Tang. I just don't think Tanganga at centre back against a lot of these Premier League strikers. I mean, as I say, Benteke put the ball in the air for him. I just don't fancy Tanganga's chances if there was a 50-50 in the air between Tanganga and Benteke. I just think, me personally, I see Palace's threat coming in from crosses into the box.
Well, let's ask Ian that. What do you see as the main threats for Palace in terms of attacking threats? Obviously, Benteke being that number 9, but where else do you see the attacking intent coming from, Ian?
It'd be a nice testing time for the Spurs back 4, because I think you'll have Gallagher and Zaha just running at that back 4. They know no fear. They will give them a severe workout on the deck. I think Benteke will always be dangerous at dead ball situations, corners, free kicks, and I think there's an aerial threat coming Spurs' way from all those situations, and Benteke's bloody good. But I think that Palace team will run at Spurs tomorrow. I think most of the threat will come down the flanks with a cut inside.
See, Cody here saying Tanganga probably the highest vertical leap of any of our players. I think he'll play good. I think if he did play, he'd play well. But I'm agreeing with you, Mike. I think he has. There's some frailties there because of his height, and I think Benteke being a big lad. Do you know what I mean?
And any Palace, not any Palace, any Premier League team will see that as a potential, or could see it as a potential weakness in as far as if you've got big lads, you're not going. If you've got big lads and you're playing against a small centre back, it's not rocket science as to we've got a chance here. Aerially, if you get balls into the box or from set pieces, put your biggest man on the small centre back. You should, on the balance of probability, you should stand a good chance. Yeah. But I just don't. Tanganga at centre back, just as I say.
No, but see, the start he's had to the season, right? The first 3 games, he's looked good at right back. So
don't get me wrong.
His confidence is going to be way high, right? So even if you play him at centre back, I think he'll be confident enough to go in there and play. And I think if the push comes to the shove and we play him, I think Benteke will give him a game. But again, it depends on how like Ian was saying, it depends on how Crystal Palace play and whether they're going to use him. I don't think Benteke will start. I personally think that Eduardo will start.
You might.
And the other thing, I think we might be in for a shock on Saturday, and we might see Ndombele at some point, or even a start.
Horror, shock, more horror.
If he's going to play Tanganga at centre back, then there's a strong chance, and Emerson's going to have his debut at right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good point. And maybe, and this is what I'm going to say to the viewers out there, tune in to Darius 3K's The Predicted Lineup. He might go through and have some reasoning for some of these players. That's my plug for him. Let's get into the favorite part of the show for me. And because I'm champion, as I said to you, I'm going first. I am going first. This is score predictions. I got my little notebook here. I do believe Have I not got all the scores right in every single game, including? No, I'm not lying.
No.
I haven't got.
No, you didn't get the last one.
Not letting you have that.
No, I didn't actually. Right, for me, this is going to be a tight game. This is going to be a tough game. This is not going to be, 3 and 4. It's not going to be a 4-3. It's not going to be. I don't believe it's going to be one of them high-scoring games. I think it's going to be tight. I do like the fact that Gallagher looks really good. Zaha's always going to be a threat, depending on who they play. What sort of system is it going to be? A 4-4-2? Is it going to be more of a 4-3-3? Are they going to play wide players? I think it's going to be a tough challenge. It's going to be a tough afternoon, and I'm going to say, surprise, surprise, 0-1. Spurs to nick it. I think Harry Kane might just get in there. What? What's so funny? What's so funny? I'm only going off averages at the moment, and I'm seeing the average of 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Let's keep with that average. So I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go over Kane knocking in around about 70 to 80 minutes, and we take the 3 points and we go marching on. I'm going to come to you, Ian, because you're our guest. Obviously, you can say if you want Spurs to win. It's up to you, but give me your score prediction.
Right, I think it's going to be a humdinger, and I think Palace will win 3-2. I think it'll be the game of the day. I think it'll be the game of the day. I think we'll see both teams attacking each other in a real, almost boxer versus boxer capacity. Palace may have to come from behind 2 or 3 times to win that. But I think it's going to go right to the end, and I think Palace will outrun it, a team without fear. And Spurs may go a wake-up call.
Making it sound like a Marvel movie. This game is going to be absolutely entertaining. It is going to be entertaining. Ian's comments. I'm still going for the boy one, but I'm coming to Mike, and then I'm going to leave Sid to last. Mike, score prediction.
I don't think Ian believes anything he just said there. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna go 2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs.
Yeah, because I'm going on the basis that if Palace come and play, bring the game to Spurs, I think they will leave pockets that we will exploit. I think we'll be clinical. So as I say, 2-0. 2-0.
It wasn't going to come on the show as a whipping boy, was it?
There's no way you could do that.
No, you can't do that, and I agree with you.
I completely agree. So we've got here a few comments. Thanks for watching, by the way, Cody Mack, Sean Hell, Dara, Derek Hutchinson's out there watching us as well. Thank you very much. So Cody is telling us 2-1 to Spurs, Kane and Gill for Spurs, Zaha for Palace. Wouldn't surprise me, Zaha. Zaha always seems to play well against us. Sean saying that Tanganga says he's a centre-back. He's progressed through the academy as a centre-back. He must be on cloud 9 at the moment. He won't let us down. I agree with that. Change the tune, Sam. I'm not changing that tune. That tune has done me wonders so far this season, so I'm sticking with it, Sean. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 all day long. Dara's saying 2-0 Spurs, Dele and Kane to score. We have from Derek here, he's only saying Palace 1 Spurs, so I thought I was thinking he was going to say Palace win then. No way can they come on this show and say anything other than a Spurs win. And Cody, what's this? 1-0 Ballfest, repeat of the Watford game, and I'll take it just like my prom date, ugly but effective. And that is Spurs currently at the moment. Now, Sid, what's your score prediction?
Well, if you're going to ask Sid...
oh no! He does it again.
This man
never fails. Never fails. Go on then. Ask Sid.
I've predicted we're going to concede every game so far, and we haven't. But given Crystal Palace's record and how well they played against West Ham the last time there was a Premiership game, I think they will score. Whether they score enough, Ian, like 3 to beat us, I doubt it. However, they probably will score 1, and the Hotspurs from Tottenham will score 2. So I'm going with 2-1.
I like that. The drama in that. I was waiting.
It's interesting that Michael, I think, that's flagged up Harry Winks, etc. And it's a bit like the guy at Man United who played for England. Just gone out of my head. Come on,
Sancho.
Who can't get in the team?
Sancho. Oh, Lingard.
Lingard. I just worry sometimes about the ambition of players. You know, like a Harry Winks, he could resurrect his career
100%.
if he'd gone to a club like Palace.
Yeah, Palace would have been a good fit.
Where he would have got regular football to see
Yeah.
whether he still got it or not.
Yeah.
And, you know, rather than sitting in the reserves like Lingard, I cry for Lingard and Greenwood at United, who are good England players. But what sort of prep is that for England when they're going to sit on the bench while you know, a couple of old pensioners play up front for United selling shirts?
Do you know what, Darius? Me and Darius had a bit of a conversation. He had some conversations with his friends. He says the reason why Jesse Lingard is more than happy to stay at Man United because he just wants the good vibes. He's got Pogba there. He's got Cristiano Ronaldo there. You've got, what's his name? Bruno. He's going to have a party time. He's going to be on Instagram. He's going to be taking photos, selfies, and all the rest. He's going to have a quality time. He don't want to. Why would he want to go
inside any footballer? Is that what you really want?
Oh,
you pick up your Champions medal or whatever after you've had like 3 or 4 appearances. Do you not feel embarrassed?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the problem is potentially if it was a loan deal, I could see those players going there. Why wouldn't you? A loan deal, if you're getting paid the same wages, getting played every week, from a footballing sense, you'd be daft not to take it if it was offered. But if it was a permanent deal, these players they're not gonna drop 30, 40, 50 grand, are they? And that's the sad thing.
Just talking on Man, have they not still got Phil Jones in tackles? They got rid of him because they're
trying to offload him.
There you go. That's the exact reason he's not going anywhere. There's a load of players who won't go anywhere because of the fact of they're getting paid, but it's good fun. Do you know what I mean? Look at Aurier and some of the pictures that we saw of him training.
It's embarrassing, though, isn't it? It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. You're right.
It is embarrassing because if you're a footballer, it's a short career, isn't it? The one thing that you're going to want to do, these players, they're multi-millionaires already. So if they make another, I don't know, a couple of million or sitting on the bench, or they could make half that amount of money but get 90 minutes each week and actually enjoy the football whilst they've got that short career in front. To me, I'd be playing as much as I can. If it meant dropping to Palace, it's still a Premier League team. It's not exactly a massive drop in the standard, is it?
Don't have to move far as well. You don't even have to move far.
But the thing is, you know what? It's good for us in a sense where if he's now got all these, he's going to now go back to his Instagram and Twitter ways, right? That'll be brilliant for Delhi because Delhi won't have any more time to go and do that because Jesse's going to be taking it all over. So we'll see the real Delhi.
You love Delhi.
More and more. So
we may have to do some kind of show where we discuss, you know, the prima donna type players. It's not fair because quite a lot of them, probably the majority of footballers, I would say, want to obviously make a career out of it. They want to do that, but there's going to be the number of.
It just doesn't make. It doesn't make sense. Why would Harry Winks? I mean, I just don't get why. Like
good vibes, man. He's having good. Have you not seen the training session? It's good vibes there in the sunshine, Hotspur way. Why would you want to go anywhere else with that training facility?
It's still bad at night. I do. I get that. It's just. It's like Phil Jones, like you said. He's sat on that Man United. Well, he's not even on the Man United bench, is he? He's rotting away in the reserves. Just grow a pair and just leave, like for the sake of your own career. Same with Winks.
He's on over 100 grand. From what I believe, he's on over 100 grand. Would you walk away? You wouldn't. You wouldn't do a Craig David and walk away.
But he's a multi-millionaire already, isn't he?
On loan, you know, Palace would pick up, say, 60% of his wages.
Yeah.
You'd go on loan, and there's a chance he may become a better player.
Yeah.
True.
And
you make new friends, don't you? You make new friends.
Yeah.
Like school.
wasn't
the adulation of the crowd. Do they not miss it? Does Harry Winks not miss playing? He must do. Lingard must miss it like hell. You're going from Wembley with an England, fan base shouting your name to go and sit on the bench at, United.
Yeah, but he's got Cristiano Ronaldo to be hugging up and saying, he's my mate, I would do the same. Now, if I'm honest with you, I'll probably do the same thing. I'd stay at United for another year just while Cristiano's there and then decide to go off next year. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Wouldn't you, after what he done at West Ham and how West Ham fans idolised him, wouldn't you, rather than sit on the bench, go back to West Ham where they loved you, you was an instant hit, yeah? Wouldn't you want to go back there and actually play football and he could have become a legend at West Ham the way he was playing?
He's putting his England place at risk by 100%. Sitting on the bench at Old Trafford. Yeah.
But if you go back to going back to Spurs here, like Session's just quickly. I know we're going off topic here, but Session, he's being touted to go. Is it Fenerbahce on loan?
Yeah, Fenerbahce on loan.
I personally, if I was him, I'll take it. Go to Fenerbahce for a season. If Spurs were clever, they would put it into the contract as to if Davis or Reguilon are injured, then we can recall him back at any point. Same with Winks. Send him out on loan to somewhere, and then if we need him back, then we got it in the contract.
Mike, you put that wrong. We put in there, we're not having him back at any cost.
Listen, you lot are terrible.
I don't know what the hell Spurs have done to some of these players, because Ndebele was one of the most rated players in Europe.
Wasn't he?
Paying too much money.
Sessignon had played at all the levels for England, under 21, etc. So God knows what you're doing to these players at Spurs, but you've turned a top European player into a donkey and a high potential young England player into a nobody. So
there is a possibility
somewhere else, but you've done it to him.
The common denominator in that could be or could have been Mr. Mourinho, who doesn't always come out very well with certain players. And that's been proved with Dele Alli, who's now had a bit of a renaissance. And also, who else? Both the back two. Sanchez and Dyer have improved drastically since last season. So that's what I'm saying. That it might be a lot to do with the manager. Anyway, David is here as well. We couldn't give Winks away, let alone loan him. Well, we're going to find out whether or not.
David, you've got to ask yourself why. Winks was a highly rated player. They were talking about 50 million to City only 12 months ago. What have you done to him?
We haven't done anything.
What we didn't do is sell him £50 million. We should have driven him to the training ground.
An England player. Why have you? Why is Dele Alli's career stalled? Why is Winks' career stalled? These were the great hopes for England. What have you done to them,
Ian?
I sometimes think that players that show promise don't always get that promise, and I think he's one of them. I don't think he's got a natural position within the squad. In the team that I think he's like right. He's definitely that. He's not a box-to-box midfielder. He's not a number 10, as you would say. He's a bit of a hybrid, and I just don't think all players necessarily get as better and better over time. Some plateau. He's one of them that's plateaued. He may have a renaissance like Dele Alli, but I don't ever think we're going to see this player that we may have done. I think there's more potential in someone like Oliver Skip than there is in Harry Winks.
But Dele has sort of turned into
go down the same road. You've got Daniel Levy there, who I feel is what describes a chairman as a penny wise, pound foolish chairman. When you look at a value of Harry Winks at that stage, what's going to happen at the end of this contract? You're going to give him away for nothing. So Daniel Levy on his balance sheet, he would have had £50 million, and now he's going to have to write that completely off his balance sheet. Yeah, the same with Dele Alli, the same with Sessignon, because a year ago they would have valued him on their balance sheet. You had £200 million worth of players there, and you're gonna have zip for them in a short period of time.
Sessignon, he's got time, hasn't he? He's only young. He's 20. Was he 21? So he's got time on his side. Dele, I think Dele's. If you look at Dele, I think he's almost merged into a type of box-to-box player, because the last couple of games you've seen him helping out the Reggie at left back. I think it was Watford quite a bit, but then you also seen him in the opposition's 18-yard box. So I think Dele's almost like he's merged into a type of box-to-box midfielder. Maybe not. It might not be natural to him, but I think that. I mean, he's covering 11K every game at the moment, so you can't say to me he's just sort of running around. He's going up and down, so I don't know.
It's my
There's a
mission,
lot-
don't worry.
Reinvention is some of them.
Sid is going to make sure that Dele Alli plays at this level, even if he has to go down there himself and make sure he plays at this level. I just want to do a little bit of a promotion for some of our shows coming up. So this is one of them. This is the lineup. This will be there tomorrow. Hopefully, Darius 3K. The afternoon, he will be putting up his lineup, what he thinks, along with a little bit of tactical analysis as well, hopefully for the game. We will also be having the debut show, the first one tomorrow. Artsy, your question need answers. The first show being around Ndombele. What is Ndombele doing? What is it? Was it what we said? What's the title called? What's happening with Ndombele?
What's happening with Ndombele?
Yeah, what's happening with Ndombele? And last but not least, Monday, I believe at 8 o'clock, Judge Jodi player rating show. And I think we have Bob Spur as her guest on that show. So plenty to come, as well as our reaction show on Saturday, 2:35. Gentlemen, that has been a pleasure. A very good show. Gone over time a little bit, but it's always going to be the case when it's entertaining. And Blue Moon Ian, let's hope, look, Blue Moon Ian, 3-2. Would you come back on? I was going to say, would you come back on Saturday if you're available, 2:35, to get your absolutely pants pulled down, slapped around, and all the rest of it when we beat you 1-0?
yeah. Remind me of the time. Yeah, I'll probably come on.
Fantastic. Mike, Sid, Ian, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Please, thank you again for all of you guys that are watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Paxton Road TV. It's always a pleasure to do these shows, and we couldn't do it without your support and your help. So please hit that like button, keep everything so we can get more content out for you, and share as much as possible. And also make sure you put them comments in the comment section for Sid's show tomorrow. Ask Sid. We need your support in that. A few more comments. Great show, guys, from Cody. Thank you very much, Cody. There, big up, guys. Great stream. Sam's is guaranteed a Palace W. No, it's 1-0 to the Spurs. I'm staying with that, Cody. I'm staying with that 100%. Right, that's it, gentlemen. Thank you very much. It is time. We are now out. Bye-bye.
See ya.